You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. I know about you, but I am in so much gratitude that things have opened up. Have you been eating dinner or having drinks on a patio? Have you been getting your nails done, your hair done? And that reminds me of a song. Hair done, check my nails. Baby, how you doing? It's been feeling so great to be able to get all those services in. So I hope you are in just as much gratitude and getting that self-pampering in. Now this show is everything to do with the Uxbridge Studio Tour. And so that is taking place September 18th and 19th. Now, a group of artists in 1985 had the idea of let's do a self-directed tour. 36 years later will be their 36th show, so it's pretty exciting. And on today's show, we're going to be meeting with Colin Whitebread, who is the chair of the Uxbridge Studio Tour, as well as two beautiful artists. We'll get a little sneak peek at some of their beautiful pieces and tell you more of what to expect for the tour on September 18th and 19th. Make sure you mark it in your calendar now, and because you definitely don't want to miss out on this show. So, and my heart goes out to all of the families who experienced or who were affected by the tornado on July the 15th. Sending so much love. Keep on watching. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough, and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
Hello, my next guest on the Jonathan Van Bilsen Show is Theo Sells, a family therapist who will discuss some of the challenges people are facing during these pandemic times. Please join us right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Live. Now with me on the show, I have Colin Whitebread, who is the chair of the Uxbridge Studio Tour. He is also one of the artists on the tour. We have one of your paintings right here. Yeah. What is the name of this painting?
Frida, actually it's a story from Mexico. I went to Mexico a lot, quite a few times, many times. Yeah. And I got to visit all the different galleries, but I went to Frida's house. And when I was in their house, there was, it's just a gorgeous place, but there's trees everywhere that are quite unusual, not the type you see around here. Yeah. And I was just taking pictures, believe it or not, of trees everywhere because I was just interested in the bark and all of that. So when I got back, I did a whole series of art in sort of honor of her because I was in awe of her. Oh, amazing. And this was one of the pieces. And of course, if you know anything about Frida, she had beautiful colors and very expressive, and if you go to Mexico, all the art is really expressive. So, oh, nice. Yeah, so that was motivated by Frida.
By Frida.
Kahlo, yeah.
So I would love to hear more about the show. Now, because of COVID, have there been any changes to the actual show, the way it's going to run?
Well, it's been a very difficult year because last year we had a show, which a lot of people didn't have. We were one of the few tours that actually had a show. Okay. But it was really, it was by appointment only, and we didn't have the usual amount of artists. The Uxbridge Studio Tour has a great tradition of having quite a few artists on it, sometimes 60, 70. Oh, wow. Last year the numbers were really low because we weren't sure what was going to happen. Right. So we did open up, and we had appointments only, and it was quite a success actually, because the people that came were so happy to come to see an art show they hadn't seen, because society had shut down for quite a while. And it's just because there was invitation only, they got to talk to the artist one-on-one.
Beautiful.
So I had about 200 people came to my place, 2 at a time, sometimes 3. And we chatted for 15 minutes, and it was amazing. Because usually you get about 25, 30 people at a time.
Right.
So this house could be crawling with people. And they're all coming at you at once, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be a little tamer, a little calmer. Is it by appointment only as well this year?
No, this year we've decided we had to wait, and we had a vote with all the artists. We waited up until almost a month ago, waiting for the different stages to open, because you can't make a prediction the way it was going, right? Lockdown, no lockdown, lockdown.
Yeah.
So I had a vote with the artists, and almost 90% said they would like to have an open. By that they mean with no appointments necessary.
Okay.
So in the past, people could just drop in. Now, it's going to be a little different. People can drop in, but depending on each artist and their capacity, for example, some homes and studios are bigger than others.
Right.
So they may come to a studio and that artist maybe only be comfortable with 8 people at a time for distancing, right? If you want to have movement and distancing. We have some artists have big studios, more outdoors. They might want 20, 30, 40, 50 people at a time. So we're leaving it up to each artist to decide how many. However, the other thing we have, though, we have a lot of guest artists outside. So I have, for example, 3 guests outside.
Okay.
So if I find my place is full, they can wander around out in the property for a while until they come in.
There's more space.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
And we're following all safety protocols.
Okay.
I think at this point, mask and sanitizing if they want to.
Right.
And people are used to it now, right?
Now, if people want to go on the tour, do they just simply go to your website and check out the map and decide where to go?
Usually we have brochures and all sorts of things, but because of the past few years, we've decided the brochure, we weren't sure in January how open it was going to be.
Right.
So we had to make the decision, are we going to spend $6,000 on these beautiful brochures that may not go out?
Okay.
So we made a decision, we're going to do a different type of brochure, a little more artsy actually. It's a beautiful piece. But the website was the key. So the cards and the postcards and the brochure are the pathway to the website, and it's been done beautifully. It's got all sorts of information.
Now, this is one of the oldest art shows out there, right?
Absolutely.
And I understand it's a juried show. So how does that work?
Well, a juried show really means that a collection of artists, first of all, would get together. And there's certain standards they're looking for. They would look for the materials, the subject matter, the energy in the artwork, the creativity. Does the artwork challenge the public? Does it cause conversations? Mm-hmm. Are the compositions good? The materials well put together? And the experience of the artist. I mean, usually you look and see, well, this artist has been, trained. They've been working. They've been in shows around all over the place. They have a bit of a history, a bit of a reputation. Okay. So factors like that. But you also, you look at an artist, you want to have a variety. We have 23 this year. You want to have a variety. You don't just want painters. You want glasswork, all sorts of different types of artists, right? So,
yeah, definitely. So you look at all those different elements before even accepting an artist into the show.
Yeah, and on top of all that, there's another factor, which is the studio itself. Because the studio, the reason it's called a studio tour, and not just a show at a gallery, we invite people to come in to actually look at where the work is done. Yeah. So for example, in my place, my studio is part of the show, part of the gallery. And a lot of places, they can see where the artwork is actually done. So that gives it a little extra interest.
You're right.
So, we have to look at the studio, the parking, the environment, the property, and all sorts of factors to see, does that fit into, the standards that we're looking for.
Now, Colin, you're as being an artist yourself, and you do more abstract work. Where do you normally look for your inspiration? Now, you told me about this painting, and it was Frida in Mexico, but for your different pieces, where does your inspiration come from?
Well, my work, every artist has sort of a style. And one of the characteristics of my artwork is color. And I do a lot, I'm a teacher, I do a lot of teaching. Okay. And as a teacher, I used to do a lot of experimentation with my students. But I would say the inspiration for me was kind of a spiritual thing. Okay. Yeah, I do a lot of spiritual work, and I did a lot of work with youth. And as a high school teacher, I went took students and kids on all sorts of social activity, social activism type meetings and whatnot.
I have to cut you off there. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
People are going to have
ahead.
to come. They'll have to come to your studio to find out more about your inspiration.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Live.
Thank you. Okay.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nations, but I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud Anishinaabe man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So with me now is Sharon Nielsen, who is a beautiful artist and who is going to be one of the featured artists in the Uxbridge Studio Tour. Sharon, we see your beautiful pieces, some of your beautiful pieces behind you here.
Thank you.
So you work with acrylics.
I do. I've worked in many mediums. I started with watercolor.
Okay.
I have done some encaustic. I'm now in acrylics and oils.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Okay, and do you like acrylics the best, or does it depend on how you're feeling?
It really depends on how I'm feeling.
Okay.
The oil adventure is new, so I'm still struggling with that because it takes a long time to dry.
Okay,
Yeah.
and yeah, when I think of oils, I think of very thick paint. And if you want to overlay it, then that paint has to dry before you can.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I sound like I know something, but I don't.
It sounds good, though.
Okay, I'll just go with that.
Yeah.
So how long have you been painting for?
Over 20 years. My girlfriend started me painting by forcing me to do some painting when we were on holidays together. I've always loved drawing, so it kind of came naturally. It really is my passion now, along with gardening and along with my old house that I tried to keep up, 1877.
This is your house?
This is my house, yes, in Uxbridge,
wow.
On Cedar Street. So this was my passion and my gardens.
Beautiful.
But I do paint other things. I paint buildings and still lifes, as well as I also work in silk, on silk.
Oh, nice.
Paint on silk, which is a really nice medium as well.
Now, how long did it take you to get to gallery quality artwork?
Well, probably a good 5-6 years, I think. I started on the tour in 2006.
Okay.
And I started painting probably about 7 years before that. But it was a girlfriend, I gave her a painting for her birthday, and all the people there said, "Oh my goodness, you've got to sell." So I thought, oh, I guess I'm okay.
Yay!
So I started, yeah.
Oh, that's
and
fabulous.
I was accepted. I applied in 2006.
Okay, now I understand, as you're growing into your craft, I'm guessing it would take a shorter period of time to be able to complete a painting because the quality of what you do is so much higher.
Well, I think it varies. It varies on the subject.
Okay.
I feel very connected to my garden, so something like this would take me not very long because I'm just one with flowers. This took me a little bit longer because I love my house, of course, and when I have still life, I want to make sure that I capture the glass. I love painting glass. And this actually was done to show how you can get right into a flower. So, you know, it just depends where I am and how I feel.
Now, when you're going to paint, are you always in a beautiful, loving, creative space, or sometimes you're in a gloomy space and you want to feel good? Or does it change with you?
Yes, it does. When my husband was dying of cancer, I painted for him to talk about his journey, and that was a very emotional time for me. Now I'm in a lovely big studio, and I always play classical or jazz music. And I love being happy when I paint.
Oh, nice. The paintings that you made for when your husband was ill and going through his passing, do you still have those pieces? Would you ever let go of those pieces?
The one I painted when he was having a lot of trouble, no, I would never sell, but I have repainted it, and people do really love it. But I don't think they want to buy it because of the story.
Right, right.
So
and I think with the repainting of it would bring a new energy, like a rebirth of yourself.
Yes.
Through that process.
So we want to thank you very much for doing this, for the studio tour. It's a wonderful tour. So many talented people. Thank you so much.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited. It's on my calendar. I know I'm going to the studio tour, so for me to get a sneak peek and be able to get into your creative mind is, it's an honor for me to be able to do that.
Looking forward to seeing you.
No, thank you. Do you teach any classes, by the way?
I have for children. I haven't done for adults. I could
just make myself a little smaller. I would like to take some acrylic classes. I do some, when we go up to the cottage, I'll do some painting with my kids, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing, right? I'm just slapping paint on the paper. It's usually abstract or whatever, but it's a lot of fun.
A good piece of advice is draw every day. Draw every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, time to get your doodling notebooks out and pencils. And okay, well, maybe I should take some drawing classes then. Maybe that's where I should start.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we go, what's your favorite piece of these four?
My house.
Okay, because you love your house.
I do.
That is so beautiful. Well, thank you. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
I'm Melinda with Move with Melinda. I am so excited to bring to you a 6-part fitness series called Motion is the Potion. We're going to be working on 3 key ingredients: cardiorespiratory training, strength training, and flexibility. These 3 things are going to get you fitter, stronger, and feeling happier. I'll be there. Will you?
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So with me now is Gail Temple, who is a glass fuser. Now, I have heard of glass blowing before, but never glass fusing. What is the difference?
There's a big difference, actually. Glass fusing, in a nutshell, is taking a solid form of glass out to a kiln, which is like a giant oven that gets really, really, really hot. Okay. And you work with this glass, and you can manipulate the glass inside the kiln, and then annealing it is cooling it down again so that it goes back into a totally solid state from liquid.
So how are you manipulating it when it's inside the kiln? Are there little holes to put arms through?
No.
Trying to picture, you hop it inside.
Yeah. No. It's just playing with the temperatures where I'm firing. And if you brought the kiln up to 2,000 degrees, that solid glass shape would be a puddle. Of liquid, right?
Okay, yes.
If you brought it up to 1400, it would be a different texture altogether, and there's tack fusing and there's contour fusing. There's all these different types of fusing you can do to get the effect you want.
Okay. How did you get into this? How did you first discover glass fusing in the first place? I'd never heard of it before. I
kind of stumbled on it because I just stumbled into stained glass and took a couple of classes, and I thought, well, this is kind of fun, you know? But then I got a little bored with it because it's very much repetitive in a sense. You know, you cut, you copper foil, you put it together and so on. Whereas glass fusing, heating the glass, is in many ways only limited to what you think you can do, you know, or not do. I mean, there's so many other things you can do with it than just cut and put together and assemble, right?
Okay, so these beautiful flames at the back here, and they're standing up.
Yeah.
Now, when you made them, were they puddles of
No.
different colored glass? No.
When the glass is manufactured, yes, and then you buy it in these big, huge sheets, right?
Okay.
And then you cut it the way you want to cut it. And these ones I cut in sort of these triangular, very tall, some smaller shapes. And then I laid them in the kiln on a bed of fiber paper. And I molded it and shaped it so that the glass would sink at the perfect temperature into the fiber paper and give it kind of a dancing shape.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You must have a lot of trial and error that happens with these.
Huge.
Any experiences that you want to share? You're like, oh, that hurts so much, because then it's all of a sudden destroyed.
Well, I don't know. I find that some of the best things are serendipitous. It's like you have this expectation when you open the kiln, and it's something quite different, and it's like, wow, that's cool.
And it's even better.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that a beautiful analogy for life? You know, sometimes you think, oh, you want it to happen this way, and it happens a different way, but if you open up your mind, it can end up being way better than expected.
Oh, very true. I did a series a couple of years ago, and it was called the Fractured series, and that was the whole basis for it. When I had broken a piece, and I thought, well, there's such beauty in putting a piece back together. And that is a real analogy to life, or a metaphor to life.
I love that. You're giving me goosebumps right now. And I was feeling it in my heart chakra right now because, you know, if you have an ending within your life and then you have to put your pieces back together and it can turn into something beautiful.
Done it many times.
Yeah, I bet. What about this gorgeous piece here with all the drips coming down? How the heck did you do that?
Wow, that was really fun. This is a new series, and I've really been playing with wire mesh like this one, and glass, and, you know, getting different shapes and textures and colors together. There's a technique called a screen melt that a lot of fusers do, and you put all of your scrap glass on top of some sort of screen in the kiln, and then fire it very, very, very hot, and you let it drip through, so you get this puddle on the bottom.
Cool.
That dries again, and then do with it whatever you wish. Well, I like to take it a step further and say, what can I do with it halfway? You know?
Yeah.
Like the drips, it's like
gorgeous.
molten lava, right? It's so interesting.
Now, can you see through your kiln? Or like to watch the process, like, now, I got to stop it now?
No.
Or no?
No.
So you're just going to use your intuition?
do that at some point in time.
Okay.
It's trial and error. You have to go through the process.
Okay. Now, we only have a minute left, but can you tell me a little bit about that bowl?
Yes.
It weighs a ton.
You look at it, and you don't think there's as much work involved in it. It's ½ an inch thick, and it's hundreds and hundreds of cut strips of glass that I put together with some glass frit in the center and scattered around to give it some color. Then it goes in the kiln, it's fired flat, then it cools, then it comes out again, it's fired again in to give it some shape and some dimension. Glass is a process. There's certain steps you have to go through to get to your final piece.
Now, being that it's a gorgeous piece of artwork, if someone were to purchase that, would it break your heart if you saw hors d'oeuvres being served on it?
No.
Or would you be like, yeah,
I'd be like,
use that.
Yeah, go girl.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
That's
I
what
love
it's for.
that.
It's to bring people joy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a gorgeous piece. So how many years have you been involved with the tour?
This will be my 6th year.
Your 6th year?
Yes.
All right, well, I look forward to seeing you on the tour. Just a reminder, it's September 18th and 19th. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
I'm Eric Marchinosa's Cinema Scene in Review. Join me for a monthly movie roundup of new releases either in theaters or available to stream. See you next time in Review.
I'm Deborah Hutchison, host of Talk Politics. Each week we speak one-on-one with your elected officials at all levels of government about the issues that affect us all. Keep informed. That's Talk Politics each week right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Live. So that's another wrap. And the Uxbridge Studio Tour is taking place Saturday, September the 18th, and Sunday, September the 19th. So mark that in your calendar. You can go to the website, uxbridgestudiotour.com, and on there is a map, and you can map out all the different locations that you'd like to go to. And in many cases, you'll not only get one artist at a particular studio, you might get 2 or 3 artists at one studio. So you can definitely check all that out to see what will be the best match for you and choose the locations, the type of art that you're really interested in seeing. Now, if you're interested in being on the show, maybe you have an event, a program, a service, a product, or something you simply want to educate the community about, send us an email. So it's uxbridgescugog@rci.rogers.com. So send us an email, and we're starting to schedule interviews for September and October. So I hope you had a blast. I am so looking forward to going on this Uxbridge Studio Tour. And we'll be back with more next week on Uxbridge Scugog Life. We'll see you then.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together, we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something. Will you join us? Together we can make Canada a better place.
You're watching Rogers TV.